Welcome to The Explainer. All right, today we're tackling something that's powerful and pretty much impossible to avoid in modern life: advertising.
It fuels our economy and it fills up our screens. But what's the real story? Is it actually a net positive for society, or is there a much darker side? Well, we're about to argue both sides of that very question. Let's start here. I'm going to argue that advertising isn't just some sideshow, it is a fundamental engine of progress. In fact, I'd say it's an absolutely necessary and beneficial force in any free market economy. Look, its economic contribution is just undeniable. Think about it. We're talking about entire industries built on advertising, employing tons of designers, writers, and marketers. And crucially, it's what funds the media we all consume every single day, our favorite shows, the websites we read. Therefore, it pushes companies to innovate, to make better products, and to give us more choice. You could say it's the very lifeblood of a competitive market.
And it goes even further than that. Beyond the economy, advertising directly empowers you, the consumer. How? It gives you the information you need to make smart choices in what can be a really complex world. It literally puts the power to choose right in your hands. And that's a point we just cannot overlook.
And right here, you can see how information really is power. Ads give us the data we need to figure out the marketplace. They tell us about new stuff, explain what it does, and let us compare brands, prices, and quality. So you're not just buying something, you're making a well-informed, intelligent decision.
And hey, let's not forget the cultural side of things. I mean, some of the best ads are genuinely creative, they're entertaining, they can even be inspiring. They can literally shape what's cool in fashion and music. And even more importantly, think about public service campaigns. They use these exact same tools for incredible social good, promoting health, safety, you name it. At its best, advertising is absolutely a force for positive change.
But hold on a second. That optimistic view, well, it conveniently ignores the darker, more manipulative side of this whole industry. To say advertising is just a simple tool for progress is to completely miss its real purpose. It is not an engine of empowerment. It is a system of control.
Let's be real. The goal isn't to inform you, it's to manufacture desire. Ads are expertly designed to get inside your head, to play on your emotions, to make you feel like you're not good enough until you buy their product. They don't fulfill needs, they create them. And here's the crucial point. They're not selling you a product's function. No, they're selling you an image, a promise of happiness or success that's tied to that brand.
So let's just be crystal clear about this. For every so-called benefit he mentioned, there's a steep and I mean damaging price that society has to pay. He says it informs consumers, I say it creates materialism. He says it drives innovation, I say it promotes harmful stereotypes. And that so-called choice he mentioned, that just leads to a culture of dangerous overconsumption.
And this pressure, it creates this culture where we're never satisfied. These perfect images set totally unrealistic standards for everyone. This leads directly to people going into debt, it leads to massive environmental waste from all the stuff we throw away, and it keeps harmful social norms alive. This endless cycle of trends, that isn't progress. It's a carefully constructed trap.
And if you want to talk about cynical, let's talk about the deliberate targeting of children. Kids are defenseless against these kinds of persuasive psychological tricks. This has nothing to do with fostering choice. It's about exploiting a child's vulnerability to create fights in families and to lock in unhealthy habits from a really, really young age.
Okay, clearly the power of advertising is immense. And I'll admit, the arguments against it have some merit. Which brings us to a really crucial question. Where do we draw the line? It's a question of control and responsibility.
And that's really the heart of the matter, isn't it? It's a conflict between two big ideas. On one hand, the duty to protect people, especially kids. And on the other, the principles of a free market and free speech. And you see this clash on every single issue, whether it's misleading claims or ads for unhealthy products. These two ways of thinking are in direct opposition.
However, there's a middle ground here. Most people aren't arguing to get rid of advertising entirely, but to reform it. We can imagine a system with clear rules and educated consumers that could lessen the harms. What would that look like? Well, it means enforcing truth in advertising, requiring clear warnings on risky stuff, and, maybe most importantly, teaching people the critical thinking skills they need to see ads for what they really are.
So it all comes down to accountability. Therefore, that's the key. The goal isn't to get rid of this powerful economic tool. The goal is to make sure it serves society instead of exploiting it. Plain and simple, that kind of power must come with responsibility.
So where does that leave us? With two very different truths. On one side, you have advertising as a vital engine for economic growth, for innovation, and for consumer choice. And on the other side, you have a corrosive cultural force, one built on psychological manipulation that causes real, measurable social and environmental harm.
The evidence has been presented. We've heard both sides of the story. Now, the verdict is yours.